The Andromeda Ward used to air at 4:30 a.m. on BBC Radio 4. Only 6 episodes of this paranormal hospital melodrama were ever broadcast. Some consider this a tragedy. In 2015, several of the original cast and crew of the Andromeda Ward agreed to be interviewed for a proposed documentary about the series. The documentary ultimately failed to meet its crowdfunding goal, and the interviews languished on the producer's hard drive until being released on YouTube in 2019, where they have received 42 collective views to date.
Oh, well, darling, we're all improvisers at heart, aren't we? It was an odd experience, because I'd really grown to love Nancy. She was a grassroots type of person, salt of the earth, working class, but she was useful. She was hardworking, and she had grown to earn the respect of, surgeons and doctors and everything. And I was surprised to find out that she had a backstory, and quite such a dramatic backstory. And I have to say, I very much enjoyed the challenge of sort of what do they say, retconning. Is that? I hope that's the correct phrase. Character traits that I developed in Nancy to make sense with the past she's had. So yes, a lovely dramatic turn. I very much enjoy the meat that it gave me to play with.
The biggest diva. If you'd asked me during the first season, I would have said Riff, hands down. But Dante characters turned up. She was definitely called something else before, so I mean, I'd have to go with Dante. She, like, any hint, you get to the A of her name, and she's going, no, Dante, darlings. She's been strutting around like she owns the place ever since. Unbelievable.
Well, I just think we are currently living in a society where people have this obsession with other people's lives and what's going on with them. I understand, of course, everyone's just, putting on a show on things like the Instagram or the gram, as the young'uns call it, and the Facebooks and the TikToks and all that. So I understand, of course, curiosity and wanting to know. But you see, as an actor, I feel that ultimately I am asking audiences to walk into a theatre or turn on a radio or their television and watch me bringing these characters to life. And I feel that if they had more information about little old me, the actor, that would get in the way. I am so ultimately irrelevant and frankly boring as a human being. There's really nothing special about me at all. So I think that I'd say ignore the press. It's rarely a good source of real news anymore.
Thing you've got to understand about working with Auntie, with BBC, is that it is like a brain with many heads. It speaks with many voices and many tongues, and the challenge for a creator, for a director, for an auteur with a story to tell is to know which of them tongues and them heads to listen to, and which to tune out and cut off, in fact. But sometimes when you cut off a head, 3 more grow in their place. So the challenge really of working with BBC is hacking away at its heads, and that's just a continual issue.
Okay, do I enjoy playing a different character every week? Of course I do. I really enjoy the challenge. I think all of our audience very much enjoys seeing me demonstrate my whole range of accents and emotions, and everybody always gives me, they run up to me in the street and give me so much praise for my dramatic dying monologues that I'm known for in my other work. So I'm sure everybody's going to be thrilled to see plenty more of those in this show. I mean, hear them, of course.
Well, as I believe I've gone on record many times, I don't really like to talk much about the family. I am a Redgrave on my mother's side. Auntie Vanessa, well, it's got a half auntie 3 times removed, but we call her. I call her Auntie. There's a couple of times when I met her, and I think that it gets blown out of proportion in the press, this whole not being remembered. I mean, there was that one time they called security at the family gathering and had me injected, but I was assured afterwards that was just a kind of a funny prank. And I often think that it's being a Redgrave isn't about the recognition as such. It's about what you do with the art, and well, I think my body of work speaks for itself, and I'm sure the rest of the dynasty would agree when they take my phone calls.
Well, I do like to consider myself an actor of the people. I've walked many roads in my life before becoming professional. I know people. I know different worlds, and I do pride myself very much on being able to authentically portray many different backgrounds and voices. However, there is a one moment I remember. It was quite a few years back. It was a small studio performance, only attended by a very select audience. We were performing selected passages from Chekhov. And the role that I was playing many roles, but the voice that I had been instructed to give was of a gritty, northern, hardworking mother. But I'm afraid I'd taken a break from panto to do this studio performance, and I was distracted, and halfway through, I slipped into the is the giant monkey behind me or not routine. And I found it absolutely hilarious, but I'm afraid that afterwards I was given quite the word from the producer, and I don't think I'm likely to work with him again.
I mean, it's all very fine and dandy when certain American actors send used condoms and dead rats to their fellow cast members in the name of method. But when a, polite British actress happens to walk into a writer's room of a major show in an American television channel, everyone freaks out, Oh, you know how the Yankees are. They're afraid of everything. I mean, I'm just an actor. What am I going to do? Blow them up? But yes, apparently our lovely cousins across the pond are not very fond of that approach when it affects them. So there might have been a time when I infiltrated a couple of writers' rooms, which was not appreciated. I do believe their response was a little bit out of not context, but perhaps a bit more intense. That was really absolutely necessary. I really think banning me from traveling to the United States for the rest of all time is a little bit over the top. But, we make do. I'm still committed to my craft, and I feel I will never stop striving for excellence in anything I do, even if, others do not understand my methodology.
I mean, you've got to understand that in Ron's visionary way of thinking, like, I was really going to be the star power of the production. I think, everyone knows Judd, the voice, Talisker, of course. So, really, I wasn't nervous to be working with anyone, but that Riff Redgrave, though, once we got on set, he's a powerful physical presence. It's quite intimidating sometimes. But, he's a pussycat, really.
But the history of me and the Bond franchise goes is a long and arduous one, and I'd like to make it very clear from the off that the Big P and I are still very good friends. Piers and I speak often, and he was terribly sweet about it. Actually, when the swap happened, he rang me. He was very kind. Even it took a few notes from me on his performance in the latter films. Completely changed the way he held his little Nokia phone in that bit with the car. That was me. But yes, the reason why I don't know. I think sometimes we just don't gel with the character, and I really feel perhaps Bond just needed more arrogance, and I just couldn't bring that to the role, and I'm fine with that. I honestly am. I have a lot of other things I bring, a lot of them really, but arrogance, I think I just found where my talent just drops off a cliff, really, and all of the greatest actors know that is out there, and I just happen to find mine, and I'm thankful for that realization every day.
My favourite death in my whole career was probably the second film I ever made. Actually, it was set on a lopsided spaceship, and I managed to save all the crew by jumping out and hurtling myself towards a 15-foot blue octopus alien and just poking him really hard in the eye. And then he gobbled me up, and then I burst through, and that took all of the oxygen I had left, and I just drifted away. It was really, really poetic, actually, for a B-movie comedy. But I'm really glad that I could bring some pathos to that project.
Now, it's not in my nature to discuss the meaning behind my work. I'm very much the sort of director, the sort of writer who wants to put the work out there and for people to find the meaning in it. If I tell people the message that it's trying to get across, if I have to do that, then the work itself is a failure. But then people do. Even when I know the work stands by itself. I know that what I wanted to get across with it comes across crystal clear. I still get fans at conventions coming up to me saying, Ron Barnes, what did you mean by this scene? Ron Barnes, what was the moral behind this episode? People just want their hands held about these sort of things. They don't have the courage of their convictions to interpret work for themselves and to feel like they have understood it. They want confirmation from creator. So, I don't like to answer this question. However, I understand that it is something that people ask. So I will tell you. The moral centre of the Andromeda Awards, the reason that I made that programme in first place, what I wanted to get across from it was, it's important to be yourself.
This has been the Lost Andromeda Award Christmas Special, a studio production from Merely Roleplayers, starring Matt Boothman as Ron Barnes and Julian Smurmbley, Helen Stratton as Hetty Braithwaite playing Jemima Jones, Chris MacLennan as Judd Talisker playing Rhys Haplock, radiologist, Ellen Gould as Avril Sterling Bow playing Nancy Kent, Strat as Riff Redgrave playing Bret Buckingham, and Marta Silva as Arizona Muse, aka Dante, playing SD Nymm. The theme music is by Alexander Pankhurst, and the episode was edited and produced by Matt Boothman. We were playing The Andromeda Ward, a role-playing game by Chloe Mashter, illustrated by Gerald McDermott, and supplemented by the Script Change Toolbox by Bo Yager-Sheldon. Merely Role Players is a Foggy Outline production in association with Blackshaw Theatre Company. Until next time, if drama be the food of life, play on!
Playing with meat.
Meat to play with. Lovely.
We've already had a slimy, vibrating pen, and now we've got meat to play with.